everyone, welcome back to my channel. You've got a slightly tired Amy today because I've been off having a lot of fun. Last night was the Christmas ball at my dance school. That's right, I do ballroom dancing. And I made my dress for this year's event using a precious Liberty silk satin. Let me talk you through how it all came together, including tips for cutting and sewing silk fabric. Been in the sewing industry for a long time now and have all these tips and tricks to share with people, especially when it comes to sewing tricky fabrics, because there's really nothing to be that scared about. There's just extra steps, extra prep, and a few things to just keep in mind as you construct. So to set the scene, this is an annual event where all the students come together. There's nearly 100 people there, all dancing on the same dance floor, enjoying a little drink or two. There's a buffet, and at the end of the night there's a showpiece performance dance that we all just get to watch and marvel at and hope that maybe someday we're that good. And then because the dress code is formal, we have a great time dressing up, celebrating how far we've come with our dancing while looking fabulous. James and I have actually been dancing together for 3 years now. It's a really lovely thing to do together as a couple, very romantic, and it's also nice to learn new steps and sort of exercise your brain. We go dancing every Monday, and then once a month there's a social dance where you get to practice amongst other couples, again in a sort of like more relaxed tea dance style scenario. And plus you might have seen my video where we went to dance in Blackpool at the iconic Tower Ballroom. That was pretty special. But the Christmas ball is a fun, festive place to get dolled up, dance the night away. So I knew I wanted a special dress for the evening. If you've been on this channel for a while, you might have seen the video where I took James shopping in Abercan in Wales. It was a really great day out in May, earlier this year. And while we were there, James spotted a section of Liberty. He's heard me talk about Liberty before and remembered. And there were a few Liberty silk satins, normally £70 a metre. Very luxurious fabric. But on that day, the Liberty silk satin was on sale for just £20 a metre. And I love him so much. He picked out a Liberty silk satin. He said, "I'm going to buy you this as a present." How sweet. He chose one that I wouldn't have normally gravitated towards. I love the way his mind works. I looked at it first and I was like, okay, a bit suspicious. But when I looked closer, it was so beautiful. I probably wouldn't have chosen it instinctively. It's a really gorgeous bronzy orange with navy blue flowers. It's called Poppy Dawn, and it comes in a few other colourways, I think. A beautiful, beautiful fabric, and he bought me 2 meters. It's beautifully soft, shiny, floaty, all those great qualities for dancing in. Next, I had to decide what pattern to use. So the dress I wore to last year's Christmas ball was actually the dress I made for my brother's wedding. Green is a significant colour in Afghan weddings, so I wore that dress and then pulled it back out at Christmas, pretending that it was a shade of Christmassy green, and wore it to the ball. It was great because a strappy dress is perfect for dancing. If you've ever seen Strictly Come Dancing or Dancing with the Stars, you'll see them getting quite hot under the collar because dancing can be quite physically exerting if you put a lot into it. And then especially in traditional ballroom settings when there's like 10, 20 other couples on the floor, it gets very warm. So a strappy dress is a must. Silk satin's great because silk is naturally wicking, so it draws the heat away from the body. Plus something flared and floaty is great for staying cool and highlighting all your twists and turns. I played around with a couple of other concepts, like maybe draping a flounce at the front or some gathering similar to my wedding dress. But in the end, I decided that the fabric needed something just simple to show it off. So I picked the exact same pattern combinations that I used to make the green dress. First is Vogue 1428. It's actually a lace dress with an under slip, and I used those slip bodice pieces to create the spaghetti straps, V neckline, simple slanted bust darts that do all the shaping. And then I chose a flared skirt pattern from my stash. Any flared skirt pattern works. I mean, I've used Vogue 9000 before, with and without the seams, and Butterick 6843, I pulled that out this time, and I just cut it out with the centre front on the fold instead of with a button placket. This is my interpretation of a slip dress. Very slinky, very glam, really fun to dance in, but a bit more flattering for my shape. I prefer a waist seam and a flared skirt rather than the classic slinky slip dress. Because I chose silk satin, there's actually a lot more work in creating this dress than you might think. So there's lots of preparation other than the cutting out and the sewing. I started by treating my silk with gelatin. I've made a full video tutorial about this that you can watch if you've never done this. It gives the silk more body and stability, making it easier to pin and cut, and it helps with the sewing too. I always joke that it sounds like crisp tissue paper when it's done. And it does take some time because you soak the fabric in the gelatin mix for at least an hour, and then you have to let it dry completely flat, and that can take a couple of hours. So it kind of builds in more time to prep. You can press gelatin treated silk, but remember to keep your iron cool so you don't damage the shine of the satin. The gelatin and the water bath plus the washout stage will remove some of the high shine and the rich dye from a highly pigmented satin like a Liberty, so keep that in mind if that's a non-negotiable for you. Once that was done, I could start cutting everything out. This fabric has a one-way design, so it only goes in one direction, and Liberty helpfully print that on the selvage to show you what's the top and what's the bottom. Don't forget the satin also has a different shine depending on the direction you lay it. So even if it's not a one-way print, it still needs a one-way cutting layout. Use fine silk pins within the seam allowance. I love my Merchant to Mills ones. And if you're struggling to cut it out neatly, you could use a rotary cutter that stops the fabric slipping around. For construction, use a Microtex needle. They're incredibly sharp, and you can also adjust to use a smaller stitch length than normal to avoid any puckering. Another thing that eats into time is letting a flared skirt hang for at least 24 hours to drop any of the bias from the fabric. So bias is stretchy on any fabric, but especially on slinky satin. I assemble my skirt pieces and then pin them to the waist of my mannequin and let them drop overnight. Then I lay everything back out flat and recut using the pattern pieces before attaching to the bodice. Because this is a dress I'd made before, I could bring it together fairly quickly. I did need to tinker with the right hand side as my dart wasn't quite sitting quite right. Angled French darts are prone to distortion because essentially they sit on the bias as well, so gentle handling is important. I made my spaghetti straps on the straight grain, which is very helpful for dancing because everything pretty much hangs from the shoulders. Very fine rouleau loops, rouleau straps could be very beautiful, but you don't want to put too much weight on them. When you use rouleau straps, you would more commonly have something with internal structure inside the dress, but I wanted this to be a very lightweight dress, so opted for the strong spaghetti straps. My concealed zipper has a mesh tape. This is a lighter weight zipper that's perfect for soft fabrics. It's got more flexibility, and I installed it with a concealed zipper foot. And I actually stabilised the centre back seam area with thin strips of interfacing. I constructed the entire dress apart from hand sewing the lining. Instead, I just tack stitched it in place with large neon green thread stitches, and then I washed out all the gelatin. This is the nerve-wracking part because you're submerging your dress in water again. I only expose my silk dresses to water 3 times: a pre-wash, the gelatin bath, and the gelatin washout. So to wash out, you submerge the dress in detergent and water mix, and then remove all the gelatin, and then you're going to rinse it through to remove all the detergent. Once washed, that silk returns back to its lovely fluid drape, but it's so delicate when it's wet, and you definitely don't want to rip a hole in your dress when you're so close to finishing. Lay it out flat on a towel to dry, smoothing out the wrinkles as best you can. Mine still needed a good press afterwards, but it was silky and floaty and looking beautiful. I was getting very excited at this point. So then I spent Saturday afternoon sitting and hand sewing the lining in place. I probably could have stitched in the ditch on my machine, but for a fancy silk dress, hand sewing felt right. That was the final detail. And then I was ready for dancing on the night. So the whole dress did take a while overall because of all the stopping and starting, but it was definitely worth it. I had to decide what to pair with the dress. I mean, I have black dance shoes. Glittery ones would have been perfect, but I haven't found those yet. And I chose a sort of nudie pink nail and matching lip. I had the most amazing velvet, mossy, foresty green hair bow from Beaded by Laura. I think the green played like beautifully with the orange and blue. And then James wore a bronze mask and bow tie to tie in with my dress. Oh, it was a masquerade ball, if I hadn't already said. But it all came together with the bronzy tones. I didn't wear a mask because I didn't want anything touching my face for that long. It would have driven me mad. James kept his on for quite a few dances before he claimed defeat. But we had such a lovely time, so glamorous, waltzing together, all dressed up, feeling like, Fred and Ginger. My voice is actually going a bit because I screamed so loudly cheering on the showcase dances. We have two incredible young dancers at the school, Abby and Tobias, like 19, 20, 21. And they performed 4 of their competition level dances for us, including a Stranger Things Paso Doble to Kate Bush's Running Up That Hill. It was so wonderful. It makes you a little jealous because you're like, why can't I dance like that? But incredibly proud. So we like to cheer to make sure they know how good they are and really encourage them. I'm very tired now. I needed a lot of rest after 5 hours of dancing, but I've been cooking up something festive and fun with James that's coming soon. He loves the sewing community. I mean, even the fact he's a non-sewer, everyone's still so welcoming to him. So you'll be seeing more of him before the end of the year. And just want to say happy Vlogmas. Thanks for watching. I'll be back again soon.